Hello everybody, it's Steve from the Sewing Center of Orange County. I'm here today because I want to do some how-to videos. There's certain things and problems that people seem to have with their machines, and I'd like to address those with hopefully some helpful how-to videos. So today I'm with the Presto 2, Baby Lock Presto 2. There's a lot of the Baby Lock machines that use this exact same system. In fact, an awful lot of the Baby Lock machines are exactly like this. Today we want to show you the process to perform regular maintenance. We're going to take out the bobbin case and clean the shuttle area, and I want to show you and talk you through how to do it with a minimum number of bad words and hopefully no flying sewing machines, okay? So the first thing we're going to do now, the first thing I'm going to tell you is normally I highly recommend that you turn the machine off so that you don't accidentally sew your finger. In the interest of providing you with good light, I'm going to leave the machine on and hope that Dina doesn't sew my finger, okay? So first thing I'm going to do is take the tool tray off. I'm going to slide the tool tray out of the way. I'm going to raise the presser foot. I'm going to release the presser foot for a little extra room to move around there, set it aside. I'm going to open the bobbin case. I'm going to take my cover off. I'm going to take my bobbin out. I'm then going to come around, and you see right back here where my finger's at, see this L-shaped piece right here, this gray piece. I'm going to come right here, and I'm going to push towards the front of the machine. I'm going to push. Machine is going to beep. It's going to give me error 11, just saying that this piece is now off the machine, okay? So I'm going to set that aside for the moment. I'm going to reach in. Here is my bobbin case. I'm going to reach in, and it just sits in there. Notice that it has some play. I'm going to simply reach in, and I'm going to pull that bobbin case out, okay? I'm going to look at the bobbin case. I'm going to inspect it. First thing I want you to know is these two felts, that's the technical world, they are a felt, are there to stabilize your thread, and they belong there. Please don't remove them. Do not molest the bobbin case and pull these off. It will have an adverse effect on your sewing. You want to make sure that there's no holes poked in the plastic part of the bobbin case. If you have a jam and the bobbin case gets turned and a needle pokes holes in it, it can break part of the bobbin case. It can damage the bobbin case so it doesn't sew correctly. The bobbin case should be smooth, should be free of obstructions and burrs, okay? So we're going to set that aside for the moment. Next thing we're going to do is take these two screws out. I'm going to move the machine where I can get my little hand in there. And I'm going to take my Baby Lock 3-in-1 screwdriver there. I'm going to loosen that a few turns. Now your machine will come with the washer. Looks like a big round washer screwdriver. That's the screwdriver for loosening the screws on the bobbin case, okay? So I've got that one loose. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to loosen this side. And yes, that needle plate's going to beep at me. That's one of the reasons I like to turn it off when I do this. I don't need it beeping at me. I have grown children to beep at me. All right. You're not turning. Okay, there we go. And it is difficult to get your little fingers in there and do that, but it is worth it. This is something you want to do typically every 8 hours of sewing. You want to replace the needle and clean out the shuttle area of the machine. I want to take a second and look at my needle plate. I want to make sure there's no needle strikes. If the needle's hitting the needle plate, that could indicate that I'm not operating the machine properly, or I'm exceeding the capacity of the machine, maybe not changing the needle enough. But needle hits on the needle plate can do very mean things to your sewing. So I want to make sure it's in good shape. It's nice and smooth and clean and clear of needle hits. Okay, there is another felt under here I want you to be careful and not remove. Right there on the thread cutting assembly, right in that region right there, there's a little felt that stabilizes the thread when the machine cuts the thread. You want to make sure that's in place. If that's missing, your machine will not cut the thread properly. Okay, a lot of times if you break a needle, you see this little circle in the bottom of the hook. This little circle right down there is a magnet. It does two things. The bottom of your bobbin case is metal. That magnetic field helps, whoops, pardon me while I drop things, helps stabilize the bobbin case in place. It also, many times when you break the tip of the needle, it will wind up right down in there, stuck to that magnet there. So, one of the easiest ways to clean, one of the things we want to do, you want to make sure there's no lint built up between the feed dogs, that those are free from any lint or obstruction. I find that a great tool to use is either your vacuum and suck the lint out, or a pipe cleaner, because you can gently put the pipe cleaner where the fuzz is. The fuzz will be attracted to the pipe cleaner, and you can remove the fuzz that way, or the little lint brush that comes with the machine. So now that we've cleaned out the shuttle area, this is the shuttle area. And again, this is something you want to do approximately every 8 hours of sewing when you replace that needle. You should replace that needle after 8 hours of sewing. For most of you, a good way to judge that, if you spent 2 hours in the sewing room, you were pretty industrious if you got 1 hour of sewing. So if you spend 16 hours in the sewing room this week, you probably need to change your needle and clean the shuttle area of your machine. A 2 to 1 is a pretty safe bet. 2 hours spent in the sewing room is an hour of sewing. It's a good idea to change that needle, clean the machine. It's going to be happier, and therefore you're going to be happier. So we've cleaned it out. It's time to put it back together. This is where most people have a problem. The first thing that must go on is the needle plate. It has to go on first. It's very important. The bracket on the bottom of the needle plate is what properly locates your bobbin case. If this doesn't go in first, your bobbin case isn't properly located, and you just spent a fair amount of money on a new bobbin case. We want you to avoid that. So we're going to put our needle plate on first. We're going to slide our needle plate into position. We're going to tighten our screws. I'm going to turn that again so I can get my fat little finger in there. And like I say, that beeping is because I want to leave this light on. And it is important that the needle plate is snug. It does not need to be mad at your husband tight, okay? It can be, I'm slightly aggravated at my husband, but not mad at your husband tight, okay? You just want to snug those screws up good and snug, but it does not need to be, I'm ready to choke that man to death tight. And yes, I know those screws are not the easiest to get to, but your machine is certainly going to love being fresh and clean. It's like a shower after a day in the garden. You enjoyed that gardening, and getting dirty was really fun, but man, it sure is nice to get all that sweat and dirt off of you. Okay, and you notice I try to go back and forth and evenly tighten the needle plate. It needs to be in there securely. The screws locate the needle plate, excuse me. These screws locate the needle plate correctly so that your feed dogs are aligned with the machine, okay? With the needle plate there. All right, with the needle plate securely fastened, we want to return the bobbin case. The bobbin case has a little white diamond, and there's a little white mark right here, and that's what we want to line up. We're going to put the bobbin case in. It's going to go in and down, goes right into position. We're going to drop that guy in there. We're going to put it down, and you'll notice there's some play right there, okay? Easy peasy, all right? Now we're going to, one way you can check it, if you're unsure of yourself, I have the needle is threaded. I'm holding the thread in my left hand. I'm not going to let go of the thread. It's important I don't let go. I'm going to turn the hand wheel towards me. Needle goes down. See how the thread sweeps around the top of the bobbin case and releases, and the bobbin case stays in position nicely. Sits in there nice and flat. That's how, one of the ways to know everything is properly assembled. I'm going to finish the operation more or less by putting this piece back. On the bottom, you'll see 1, 2, 3 of these little tabs. Here on the machine, you see 1, 2, 3 little squares, okay? You're going to drop that in, and I'm going to push it, and it snaps into position. So now it's back in position, and the machine has stopped beeping at me. I love it when they're not beeping at me. I'm going to once again take my bobbin. I'm going to make the letter P for the perfect bobbin. I'm going to drop it in place, bring the thread around, cuts the thread. I'm going to take my, in the old days, we'd call this a slide plate cover. These days, we call it a bobbin cover. It's important, a little tab goes under the spring, lock it into position. Now I can return my tool tray or accessory tray to the machine, slide it on. I'm going to reinstall the presser foot. That just snaps into position. You see how that went? I've got a little, I'm going to release it back here. Comes off. I'm going to hold it, line it up, snap it into position, okay? It's always a good idea when you've changed your needle, when you've cleaned out the shuttle area. That's what we're doing, accomplishing today, is cleaning the shuttle area. It's a good idea to take a scrap piece of fabric, put it in your machine, and make sure your machine sews correctly. You can always throw the scrap away, and there we go. We're sewing like a champ. No fuss, no muss. Hit our cutter. Cutter's operating correctly. So we've just cleaned out the shuttle area of a baby lock sewing machine. If your sewing machine looks a little different, have no fear. We're going to do some more how-tos on some of the other machines. This is most of the midline of the baby lock sewing machines and a lot of the higher end machines as well. I hope this makes it easy. I hope this helps you out. Remember to take good care of your machine, and she will take good care of you. Most machines appreciate a snappy nickname. Helps them feel like you love them. So I hope you've given your machine a snappy nickname. I hope you're having a great day. Let us know what we can do to make your day better. Thank you, and keep on sewing.